Just doing some last minute tweaking. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. All right, we're ready to get started. Welcome to Crypto Insight. My name is Lane. You're watching Road Dog Crypto. And at the beginning of the week, I like to do this live stream just to kind of go over the market. And today, let's start out with Bitcoin and look at the big picture that's going on. A lot of people are very concerned about what's going on. Price could drop. Price could just take off and go crazy. So which is it? Well, it's kind of hard to tell right now. Good things going on right now that on the daily, we got a confirmed green dot here from a couple of days ago on Market Cipher. We're in a good position to where we can go up. What I do want to point out, instead of, I see a lot of people, we look at these things and we get on some of the lower time frames, and there's nothing wrong with that. There is a place for that. The lower time frame is actually looking really good right now. We've actually made a higher high. That's very promising. We broke 29,000. Very good. On the 1 hour here, we see that our EMAs are starting to cross. 50 crossed over to 100. That is looking very good. So right now it's looking strong. But do consider that today is Monday. I do expect this to be a volatile week. On the 12th, we do have some news coming from the Fed. And usually, what do we see in the markets there? We see a lot of whipsaw action. Whipsaw action is where the price just does all this stuff and right here. And, it's a great place for traders to get really bent out of shape. Those time periods are not the best trading periods. Today's looking pretty good. However, what I wanted to show you is just to zoom out just a little bit. Look at where we came from, because that's going to give us a hint of where we're going. And looking at these bigger time frames will help us to do that. So going back to the top here, connecting my trend lines, depending on how you want to draw this, there are several different ways to draw this. Some people draw it with the line starting over here. I kind of find that this is a little bit more relevant, but still, we've already broke out of this falling wedge pattern. Has a great chance to break to the upside. And that alone, if we just take a measured move for this pattern where we can expect price to go, for Bitcoin would lead us up here to this area about 42.5. And let's go ahead and mark that and put that as an actual measured move there. So overall, that's our target. Now, will that happen quickly? Well, it took us, from November of 2021 to October 2022, almost a full year just to get that breakout. And then it still went down to retest that line. And let me see if I can blow this up so we can take a little closer look at it. We retested that line and traded in that range. And I believe, and a lot of others believe, that this was our bottom area for this cycle. Indicators are showing that. I consider it to be the bottom. Doesn't mean that we can't come back down to retest this area. That is totally in line with how this part of the market works. However, what I do want to point out is that this is what I've got on my radar. And you find this with the falling wedges. A lot of times you will develop a inverted head and shoulder type pattern. And let me just blow up this chart so we can see it a little bit better. But on the daily, left shoulder, head, and it's kind of an elongated head, kind of weird, right? But it's still valid, and a lower right shoulder. This is the icing on the cake here. When this right shoulder is above the lowest point on this left shoulder, that's a very valid head and shoulder as long as we complete the neckline. That is the key to the head and shoulder, is making a neckline. Just because something has, some 3 oddball peaks on it doesn't mean it's a head and shoulder. Without that neckline, that pattern is likely to play out a totally different way than expected. When you go by the rules for these patterns, they play out very, very well. Now, if you can see these white lines here, and let me see if I can kind of highlight this a little bit better. Let's put those in red. Make them a little bit more visible. And you can see we're in a rising channel. And a lot of analysts are looking at this. Some people are drawing it from underneath. That can be valid too. Not disputing that at all. But, my angles here line up very well. And that's how I trade. It validates that this channel is valid. Very real possibility is that we can come back to this trend line, retest that at 27,000. We've done that a couple of times already. So that probably can stick. A few little things on the indicators I see right off, the big Ichimoku cloud kind of thickening up, just throw some caution to me. But the point that I want to make overall is this: remembering, like I said, where we came from, falling wedge, broke to the upside, inverted head and shoulders. This pattern has about a 65% chance, 65% chance to retrace for price to come back to this breakout area. So I'm looking for a possibility that we could, over the next couple of weeks, drop back down to this area, currently about 25.5. Now, there is going to be a lot of buy pressure here in this area. The 618 area comes in at 25,784, somewhere through there. We may not make it down that low. Something I also want to point out is our moving averages. I'm very big on moving averages because if you know how to read them, they kind of have an order of operations about them. Now, currently, I have a 9-day up here, which when we're in a very bullish move for Bitcoin on the daily and even on the weeklies, you find support at the 9 moving average during a very solid run. When it does a little retracement, it will come back and retest the 21, and that's the red line that I have here. We did that. Currently, we found support, and right now, today, we're doing really good. So we could see some more upward action, but I am still looking at the possibility of doing the retracement at some point over the next few weeks, possibly back down to this 25.5 area. That's just how these inverted head and shoulders patterns play out. So if that were to happen, the people looking at this as a rising channel would probably see this as a fake out. And it could be. I'm not going to dismiss that, because usually when you do say fake out, we got one over here during this channel. This was a bear trap. And then when it breaks back into that pattern, you get a parabolic movement leading up to the top of the channel. You could possibly see that, and that's what people would expect from this pattern, breaking back into it, bringing us back down to the area about 22,300. And that could happen. It could. But that would be disregarding the pattern that we broke out of, the head and shoulders. They usually don't work that way. That would be a failed pattern if it does, and that would be a very bearish situation to break below this support at 25,000. So that's what I'm looking for. Now, we can definitely go up in the short term, and we may do that. We'll look at some other indices to kind of give us an idea of how that can happen. Let me just do a quick check on the stream here. Do a quick test here, make sure that everything is still going. All right, everything seems to be fine. All right. So the thing that concerns me about where we are is that we do have a lot of bearish divergence. And as we saw over here, well, it takes it a while, but that plays out. And that's where our indicators are where our price action is going up, but our indicators are coming down. We've got a little bit of that going on right here, and even more if you connect it back to these areas. Prices going up, indicators RSI levels are going down. Bearish divergence, usually, well, eventually it always wins out. Very rarely have I ever seen it. I can't even think of an instance where it didn't eventually play out. On the bigger time frames, it can take longer to do that. So I'm just keeping that in mind. Another thing that you might want to look at on these larger time frames when it comes to Bitcoin, and we talk about Bitcoin because, you know, it rules our altcoins. So our altcoin trading will be affected by how Bitcoin plays out. Now, just drawing candle body closes to candle body closes, and we're in a rising channel, and those do break to the downside, usually about 65 to 70% of the time. Currently, like I said, it looks good, but we're also in the top of a range. Okay, so you've got a lot of traders right now that will be looking at shorting this particular area. And where is the little box I'm looking for? This little rectangle right here. And so a lot of your scalpers and everything are setting up a trading range, scalping up here, and then, you know, this area right down here would be their long area or their take profit area for their shorts. Okay, so range traders are kind of looking at this. So there will be some sell pressure there that I'm looking at. But if you're looking for a bullish scenario, let me show you what to look for. If by chance price does continue up, say we come up to 29.5 or something, retest this rising channel for support and go up, that could be a very, very huge move. So what we're trying to look for is breakouts on a bearish pattern. When price starts going up and breaking to the upside in a bearish pattern, extremely bullish. So if we see that happen, it's a good time to put more chips into the game. However, we got to be realistic about how these patterns usually play out. So chances are we are going to come down and get a little bit of a retracement. That's what I'm looking for. However, if I do see us do this little scenario right here, you can bet I'm going to be very happy, and I will try to take advantage of that. But we've got to be cautious about the real probabilities that are tried and true and tested, statistically documented. You can find that on thepatternSite.com, Thomas Bukowski's site that I absolutely adore. He's got the statistics. That's the rules that I follow, and that's where my numbers come from, or close to that. That's who I reference. I consider him an authority on that. He has done the work, and we've got to have some rules to go by. So that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. And as I said, we do have a measured move. We got measured moves that are going up to about 35,000. Even this one that I just took from the inverted head and shoulders, taking us up to about 42.5. When you zoom out, look at the bigger picture here. Okay, we're going to draw another little box, and we're looking at this area. This is where we got stuck at. Okay. This is where price dropped, found support before we went on up for the bull market. This is also when we got the big sell-off there. Everybody expecting it to go to 100,000, and all of a sudden, the bottom falls out of Bitcoin. We assume, thinking probably FTX had a lot to do with that and the way that they were trading, but it brought us down to this area, which we stayed there forever. Just wondering, was the market over? That was quick. Bull market only lasted 4 weeks. What's up with that? And you kind of feel gypped, right? And then, of course, we took off again. But this area, you know, we came back down to it, didn't quite make it there, found support, went back up. That looked promising, came back down, traded sideways. Then we lost it in June of last year. Okay, so we've got to reclaim this area. This is going to be a very big area between where we are now, roughly between about 28.5 on up to about 32,000. We're going to have to fight our way through that. And right now, we're struggling to stay just right under it. Now, it's a good sign that we are under it and we just didn't immediately drop, because anywhere in the price action we were used to before during this bear market phase, that's all you saw. Come up close to it, down. Come up close to it, down. Come up close to it, down. Just easily thrown down. But we've been very resilient with Bitcoin and crypto since the beginning of this year. Now, I would love to see us break up and go up there, but we got to be realistic and consider there is humongous sell pressure here. But I will reiterate that today, it looks pretty good. Now, let's check out the weekly, just to look on the weekly, because we got to look at the bigger time frames to really understand what direction we're headed. After we do that, we can narrow down in on the smaller time frames, even down as far as the 1 minute if you want. But remember, the larger time frames play out. Those wicks are telling us about the sell pressure. The good thing we got going on is that we're in the middle of this Ichimoku cloud. So this is telling me over the next month or something, we've got a lot of sideways trading coming. And now that could be very beneficial for altcoins. And we'll look at that in a moment. We have to look at total 2 and Bitcoin dominance to really get a feel for that and see how to play that out. But currently on the larger time frames, I do like the fact that the money flow that's in the red here is starting to come up to the upside. VWAP's coming down. We're getting a little extended on our stochastics. Momentum waves are starting to turn over just a little bit on the weekly. So yeah, I can definitely see us coming back down to some of these lower areas. And I would be looking at this retracement level we mentioned earlier, about 25,000. May not make it down there. May not. There may be so much buy pressure here that we don't make it down that far. But it's a very real possibility that, in this month of April and going into May, we could range somewhere in between here, 25, 26 on up to 29. That's most likely what I foresee. I am watching this cloud very carefully because I'm seeing where it's starting to thin out a little bit. Now, a situation that can happen is that we can get rejected and start coming back down here. Don't want to see that. The big indicator that I want to see on the Ichimoku cloud, I'd like to see it when it thins, and then I like to see it just turn green. That little sliver of green says a lot. That little sliver of green tells me that we got a good chance for some more upside, and just not seeing it yet on the weekly. So it is kind of a cautionary period, and we'll get this a lot during this part of the market. But overall, we're in a very bullish territory. Falling wedge breakout. I love falling wedges. They are a very dependable pattern to trade. One of my favorites. Leads to more upside. Also have inverted head and shoulders. Did we take that measured move? I think we took that one from the falling wedge. Taking the measured move from the inverted head and shoulders gives us this target up here about 34.7. Let's go ahead and mark that. I wasn't clear on that. And put that as our measured move right around 34.7, 35,000. Would be our immediate target just from this inverted head and shoulders. So 34, 35,000 up to 42, quite possible, but I'm telling you, it looks like it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. And for this, I would look at my EMAs as some possible for some possible signs. One thing that I do see on the weekly that I do like is that the 9 moving average that we mentioned is about ready to cross this 200. Price on the weekly being above this yellow line, this 200 moving average is extremely bullish. That's what we've been waiting for. That signals the change in the market. We're in bullish territory. Very likely to come back to that area, 25,600, whatever, to retest that. But seeing this little green line cross over that yellow one, extremely, extremely bullish. However, I do see the very real possibility of some sideways action. All right, so now, after looking at Bitcoin, and that was the main objective that I wanted to get out of the way because there's a lot of ideas out there. I do think this idea is very valid, and this is what I'm going with. I want to look at Bitcoin dominance because this is really affecting our altcoins, okay? So looking at Bitcoin dominance, when Bitcoin dominance goes up, our altcoins are underperforming Bitcoin, meaning that we are losing out really being into altcoins. And you may notice on your exchange where it shows your value in dollars or whatever fiat, and also in Bitcoin. And right now, that Bitcoin number is going up because we've been kind of fluctuating here with the dominance, right? Had a little episode over here where we came down. The thing to watch out for is if Bitcoin dominance does break up, like if Bitcoin goes on a tear, lots of money starts coming into Bitcoin, altcoins are going to suffer. I mean, they'll come up some with dollars in dollar value because of a rising tide lifts all boats, but overall, Bitcoin will still be outperforming that. So what we're looking at here is that if Bitcoin dominance gets rejected and then Bitcoin trades sideways, which it has a very real possibility to do, we could be looking at a mini altcoin season. And that would be excellent. And I do foresee the chance for altcoins to actually gain in some value over the next week or two. And I do plan on taking a lot of my profits in that move because I'm not sure how much more sustainable that will be until we actually work toward a real authentic altcoin season. Now on Bitcoin dominance here on the weekly, you see our moving averages are starting to turn to the upside. They're starting to cross, and that's very bullish. And that's why I think it's very highly likely that at some point we're going to see Bitcoin just take off like crazy and leave the altcoins behind. So instead of getting rejected here and then coming all the way back down and giving us a true altcoin season, I think it's highly likely that we may actually get that breakout and then retest this area of the 200 moving average. But one thing that we could look for over the next week, if we do get rejected here, and it could happen, when we start pulling up Market Cipher or pulling up our indicators here, money flow is coming in. So any decline, any pullback to the downside on Bitcoin dominance, probably is going to be kind of slight. It's not going to be that big of a move down. However, indicators are starting to get a little bit tired, and VWAP, volume weighted average price, is starting to come to the downside. So we very well could get a little pullback here. And I would be looking at this 9 weekly moving average, 45%, maybe coming back down here to this area at 44. If that happens, if we see rejection go there, it's a good time to actually trade your Bitcoin into altcoins as the dominance is moving down, and that will help you build more Bitcoin. However, looking on the daily, right now it's looking kind of bullish. So it does look like that Bitcoin dominance wants to go to the upside. Now there is a pattern here that I'm seeing, and let me go ahead and mark that in white, this rising megaphone pattern. And there is a good range that it could go up. So we could actually see this pattern play out where Bitcoin dominance takes off, goes on a tear. Altcoins, of course, will suffer, but get rejected at these areas and then come back down. Now, if it comes back down to the bottom of this pattern, that may be our biggest clue that an altcoin season, a large altcoin season, because we would have had this area right here coming down, and that would give us a chance to come down to even lower levels. That would be an awesome altcoin season right there. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance to actually go up, find a new high, get rejected, and then come back down, giving us a very, very nice altcoin season. That would be beautiful. Total 2 is the total 2 market cap, and you see it's also in that rising broadening pattern, that bearish megaphone. We did have a bear trap right here, which normally gives us a big move to the upside. We got that. Now the question is, will it still go up? Will more money be coming into altcoins at that time? It's very likely because, this is a bearish pattern, but it can keep going up. There is also, like we saw in Bitcoin, we've got a possible head and shoulders pattern right here, which, did I mess that up? Let me redraw that pattern, which looks to be complete. So this is making our neckline. And if you try to draw these and you don't get it colored in, it means you don't have your neckline set. So you got to go adjust something right there. There's our neckline for that. Now we have not broken out to the top of it, But if we do, now this is a good sign for altcoins. So I would be watching this closely too. It's a little bit of conflicting information there. Okay. So I would watch this closely. I would look for a breakout. Total 2 gets above 6. Well, definitely. If it gets above 625 billion, we could be looking at quite an increase in altcoins. A lot more money coming into altcoins. Let me take a measured move from this and see where we could possibly go up to. Put that to the breakout area, and it's saying about 800 billion right there. Let me go ahead and mark that real quick. And let's put that as a measured move for the head and shoulders pattern. So I've got 3 measured moves here that overall give us a good move for Bitcoin. There's even a possibility this could be making an even larger head and shoulders pattern. Very realistic that that could be happening. But right now we are seeing some bearish divergence here on the total 2. It's really like we're at a precipice. We've got to see what Bitcoin dominance does. It looks like it's going to go up. If it does, this will trade sideways or possibly even go down. So altcoins are in a little bit of a tricky situation, but it's not bad. It is definitely not a bad time to add to your bags, in my personal opinion. I would probably do some more in dollars than in Bitcoin right now until we see what Bitcoin is going to do. I normally cover ES1, which is the Standard & Poor's 500 E-mini futures, but we're starting to decouple from this with crypto, so not as important in my mind. Okay, so covered Bitcoin, and pretty much we've got a good handle on that, and for our total 2 in our altcoins. One thing that I want to do, now normally I go into the top 10. Right now, we'll just take a quick look at the market daily to see what's kind of up. INJ has been doing very, very well. Love that. Up to $6.28. It was trading about $5.25. It was under $4 not long ago, all the way down to $2.92 just back in March. So if you got into this, if you caught the videos I've done on that, you knew that that was in a good position, a good pattern for some more upside there. Stacks is also doing very well. It got up to $1.25 there, and currently looking about 90 cents. Great time to get in. It was 50 to 60 cents. I did pick up some there. That one I think is going to be one to look at. So let's just quickly jump over to CoinMarketCap here. Oh, I'm sorry, CoinGecko. They're the ones that have that. And I want to go to the gainers and losers. Let's just take a look at that. Move this to the top 300. See what's been moving for this past week. Let's change this over to the weekly here. So and this helps us keep an eye out for some of the newer coins or ones that we're not that familiar with that may be moving, maybe having something going on that we can kind of, make notes of this to watch. Okay. So Milk Alliance, never heard of it. Up 77% last 7 days. Stride, heard of that. It's doing very well. Radix Luxo, LYXE, has been doing very well this week, up 28%. Alchemy Pay, got a margin trade on that one. That one's been doing very well. Very pleased. SafeMoon, go figure. Injective has been doing extremely well. Touched on that. Aragon, Stargate Finance, and Canto. Thank God Canto's going to do something. That one I'm in some drawdown on, and hopefully I can go over that one today and some of these other coins that I've went over before, and we can kind of update it because honestly, trying to do a video on all these little coins, it's going to put me behind schedule. I'm more than happy to do it, but to get this information out here, this live stream and probably another live stream that I may do tonight, late night crypto charting, we'll definitely be taking a closer look at those. Top losers: Flexcoin, Access Protocol, WeMix, Everscale, XSP, Ribbon Finance, HBAR, Artificial Liquid Intelligence, ALI, and Caspa's went down, right? Caspa was up to a little over 4 cents, maybe up to 4.5 cents, and now it's about 3.5 cents. That one was an interesting trade on perpetuals. Sometimes it can go really good, and sometimes it would just slam me. Looking at the top 100, consider these more toward our blue chips, I guess. Radex Injective, BitGet Token, Casper Network, Thorchain. Great to see Thorchain coming up. Curved DAO, good to see that. Conflux, doing good. Render, Chili's popping up. Man, I'd really love to see that get up around 20 cents again. This one just seems to really go with the sports league. When soccer season's around, this one does good. When it's not around, it, very slow, very boring. The top losers on the 100 have been Hedera, HBAR, Caspa, of course. Whitebit token, not familiar with that. Aptos coming at 11.23. Zilliqa, just under 3 cents. Quant, that one has been disappointing me, but I do have a lot of hope for that one. PancakeSwap at 367. ToneCoin at 221. Stellar Lumens at 10 cents. XRP at 51 cents. Okay. So now, normally I will go through the top 10, okay? And we will do that today. I will do that. But right now, it's more important for me to just kind of recap some of the coins that I've featured on my channel and just kind of do a little update about where we are. So give me a minute just to pull up a few things here. Because I've had a lot of people asking for some updates, and my schedule got away from me this past week, so I am a little bit behind. So the last video I did was a couple of days ago on audio. Let's just take a quick look at that. And I am on KuCoin. So let me just go click that source. And Audius right there. I do like this project a lot. And overall, and we'll look at this on the daily, rounding pattern there with a falling wedge. One of the best bottom patterns that I've ever found to trade, because eventually, and it may take some time, this jumps up, makes some great gains. This is a very, very solid pattern to trade. Very rarely does it go the other way. And at this point in the market, I don't see that happening. Because things you want to look at is where your EMAs are, and we're above the 200 on that. Looking great for Audius. Got a measure move coming in at 49.3. Nothing's really changed here. Got a buy target at 26 cents. Will we make it down there? Possibly, but who knows? Okay, 26 cents, and also I think at a close to our current price, about 29 cents were the two targets I was looking at getting in on that. Possibly, if we come down and retest this 200 moving average, 21 cents could play into that scenario. With these rounding patterns, you can get these spikes and definitely can take profit on the way up, but usually you'll come back at some point and retest this rounding bottom trend line, this parabolic trend there. So I'm looking at Audius. We also looked at SinVerse. That was one of my latest videos. And I'm liking this project too. If you have not checked that one out, do that. It's kind of a Grand Theft Auto type game. And I'm not really big on the gaming coins, but in crypto, sad to say with all these altcoins, it's not so much about what the project does or actually does. It's more about the hype about it. And considering how well Axie Infinity did for a pay-to-earn game, Sin, I think, will definitely get the hype, because that's the kind of games that people are a little bit more interested in my personal opinion. So I'm taking a chance on that one. And we do have a measured move up here for this falling wedge breakout pattern. Takes us up to about, 1.76 cents there. Nice little double bottom forming there. Had some buy targets over here that you could possibly get in. And I've been trying to build a little bit more bag of this, a bigger bag of this, but, doesn't always come back to these entry targets. So you have to keep an eye on that. We are currently looking at breaking out of the support area. If that happens, if it breaks above this 200 daily moving average, it's ready to rip. And you can see some signs here. We're looking at our moving averages where the 9 has just plastered through the 50 and the 100 EMA there. The 21's getting ready to hopefully do the same thing. We went into the Ichimoku cloud and it spit us out on the other side. We're just testing this area, which was a take profit area that we had at 0.0084 cents. Another take profit area at 0.0093 cents. very likely that we could hit those, flip this as support, and just keep going. Little green thread of a little green sliver on the Ichimoku cloud there tells me that could definitely happen. This is a hot one to get in, and you may have to, if you're not in this and looking to get in, I would just draw a Fibonacci there and then mark out these areas, the 236, the 238, and the 50% area. So 0.0079, just a little under 0.008 cents. A good place to put in a bid. 0.0074 cents, another good place. Most likely we will find support there before going to the upside. However, it is possible to come back down to 0.00706. Maybe. Could happen, may not happen, but that would be also in line with these moving averages in the 100 there. So SIN's looking very good still on my radar right now. Next project I want to take a look at. And let me get my content pulled up here. Take a look. Near Protocol. Looking on the daily, it has just mostly been sideways trading for this for the last week. We got some measured moves, about $2.18. Had a buy area here at $1.89, have not made it back down there. We have been bouncing off these EMAs and may continue to do that. It does look like we will be moving up to this area of about 207 and then on up to 218 and hopefully eventually 225 and 229. It looks like we have found support. The 9 moving average has slipped the 21, meaning that, well, next in line is the 50 and then the 100. Getting ready to go into this Ichimoku cloud. Things are looking good for near. It's just been trading sideways. Lots of buy pressure. You can see that on the wicks. Headed to the upside. On a smaller time frame, we did have a inverted head and shoulder. Looks like that did play out, or we're still waiting for that to play out, I think, to the 218 area. So that's what we're looking for near. You just got to give these setups just a little time to play out, especially when you're on the larger time frames. And Yield Games is another one that we did a video on. Let's just kind of check and see what's happening with this one. On the daily, things are still looking good. 9 is getting ready to cross that 21. And that's going to be bullish. We are trying to break above this 200 moving average on the daily, trying to gain some ground here. It's having a little bit of struggle there, trading sideways, but still overall holding its ground. It came back down to the 24-cent area. And let's see, this was 10 days ago, so that did hit our target here when I posted this. So able to put more money into that, build a bag. But it looks like a very promising coin in my opinion. It is in a very, very nice rounded shape when you zoom out with that falling wedge pattern. This one I do expect to take off, and that's why this one appeals to me. Measure move coming in as high as 98 cents on Yield Games. So the videos, if you want more information, you can go check out these videos. This analysis is good for quite a while, okay? Especially when I'm using larger time frames. That gives you a lot of time to play these things. So if you come to my channel and you find a video or something that's been put out, several weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, you can still look at it and get value from that because these targets will play out. They still are valid. The next one I'm looking at, let's go with ORAI. This is one after I started diving into the ecosystem, it got me. It really got my attention there. So I'm actually doing DeFi on this. I've taken my bag off the exchange and I'm putting it to work for me in DeFi. I like this one because it's based on Cosmos SDK, Cosmos ecosystem. I just think it's a very cool project, very promising, and it's got some great DeFi options right now. When you catch them early like that, it can play out very profitable. But however, it's come back into my buy zone and dipped a little bit below it, actually, come back into it. It does look like we will come down a little bit, so you can possibly get into this at a much better price. So currently, on the daily, I mean, we're getting some upside, we're getting some buy pressure here, but I do foresee us coming back down. We've already dropped our EMAs. All right, the 50 is getting ready to cross over this 100, and that's going to be a little bearish for a while. So picking it up at 226, 271, 325, 347. all still valid. I would be looking at this zone right here between 297 and 318, 319, somewhere through there, 330. You're really looking at this daily 200 moving average to come back and retest that at 314. So this zone would be another place that you could pick this up. And what I'm doing is that I am adding to my bags here, and then I'm throwing it over on DeFi. I like this one because it does have a very limited supply of this coin. Now, one thing I do want to point out, when you see things go parabolic like this, I mean, we always want to jump in on those green candles, right? And we keep hearing, oh, that's not the good time. Okay, so you can draw a parabolic, these parabolic lines, okay? Kind of subjective in a way, but they do give you a good framework to go with. And let me see if I can zoom in on this. With these parabolic structures, when they're starting to round and they're starting to take off, my little secret strategy is to draw a trend line there. Now, if I see it break below that line, actually, when I'm actually trading this, I'm actually doing that for every leg up. Okay, so for this move, for instance, drawing that trend line, maybe on a smaller time frame, got another one. But when we break that trend line, I want out. But when we break the parabolic trend line, this rounded one, that is your definite sign to get out, because it's going to be down and sideways for a while. For all the time it took it to go all the way up here, you can expect at least that much time for it to figure out what it's doing on the downside. So ORI heading to the downside for a great period to accumulate, but I do see a chance for us to keep coming down on this just a little bit. But I do like this project. This is a good area for us to form a double bottom. So that's what I'm looking for there, and is support on the 200. So this is one that will take some time, but being what it is, and in the category of AI that it is, and all the things they've got going on their chain, I have lots of hope for this for a long-term hold, and that's how I'm playing this. For a current trade, you know, best to wait for these downward, best to wait for a confirmed bottom area here, and then start going to the upside. Right now, it's still showing a little bit of bearish tendencies there. NXRA. Let's take a look at that. Nexera, or Nexera. This was Alliance blockchain. After their hacker exploit, they reissued new tokens, making everybody whole again. So that was very cool. This one is doing very well. Now, and so if you haven't bought it, and if you had ALBT, you might have got this airdropped on whatever exchange that you're on, or possibly in whatever wallet that you have. And I was very pleasantly surprised to find that, I got a decent little bag of this, and found out about it right when it was around 9-10 cents. And that was more than I was trying to purchase with Alliance blockchain. So I'm not complaining at all. We did a falling wedge pattern. We do have a breakup. We have several measure moves for that. This is playing out beautifully. It went sideways a little bit, retested, retested this area right here, about 0.062 cents, and now we're to the upside. Looking very good on the daily, in my opinion. Definitely see some more further upside there. Not enough price history here to give us much as far as moving averages, but we do see that the 9 is getting ready to cross over that 21 over a few days. Right now, a little bit of indecision in the market, so it's flagging out a little bit in the shorter term time frame. So you could see some retracements, but it found support on the 9 moving average on the 4 hour. Very promising there. If we blow this up just a little bit, check out our moving averages. Then we're getting the trifecta here. 3 of them together, really tight, crossing to the upside, bullish. We're above the 200 on the 4 hour, bullish. Could come back down here to retest about 7 cents, or, it could just be flagging out, and we're moving to the higher areas there. Ichimoku Cloud kind of suggests that may be what's playing out. So sideways over, say, the next few days, but a bigger move could be coming for this as we are flipping this area from resistance. You can see this. We draw this little guy right here, coming back here from the wicks to the candle bodies. So we're working on flipping this area from resistance into support. Once we see that happen, that's when we'll be looking at this very high, very big AB equals CD measured move, taking this width length right here, putting it at the breakout area, gives us a target which coincides with the 618 Fibonacci at 12.8 cents. That's not bad at all, considering at the area would have gotten in at that, or did get in on this. And anybody buying this around the, what is it, under 7 cent area there. Oh, let's get this little risk reward guy put up here. And you can put a nice little 8-9% stop loss there. Risk to reward ratio at 10.47, 89% return or increase, however this is measured. Not bad at all. So for Nexera and for some of you guys that have been hitting me up in the comments to do an update, and I do plan on doing that, but this is the quickest way I can get this information out to you guys. It's looking good. It's just hit, an area of resistance right here. Nice rounding shapes here. They're taking place. Nice little bottoming area that I've got. It looks like we're headed up. Looks good to me. Next on my list will be OPUL. So OPUL, take a look at that. And let's just switch back to the daily. Did come back into our buy zone there. So if you guys were able to pick this up about 11 cents, very good, because we just flagged out. And remember, we were talking about this possible double bottom scenario here. And this area right here, flipping it into support. Came up, tested it, lost it, came back, went above it. Now we got to find support there. It looks like we are. This is what we call flagging out on these double bottom patterns and looking for some more upside. So the targets that I have in play are still in play for that video. 30 cents, 38, 40, 44 cents, up to 47.3 cents is what I'm looking for out of OPUL. This is another one that I am working on. Since it's going to be a long-term hold, I've got this actually staking. You can stake this up to 30 days at a time. And just kind of cool. I'm starting to put my long-term hold to what I can into staking instead of just letting them sit idly on the exchange or in my wallets. Let me just check a few little things here. So Mob Barley, Nexera, that one was for you. The update was for you. Anybody else that asked for an update? Trying to make sure I didn't mix anything. I did get a request for Illuvium, and I have not done a video on that. I did tell the person that I would. I have not gotten around for it. Let's do that now, okay? So with Illuvium, got this nice kind of scallop rounding shape here. One of the big things I do look at, so I do like to draw those out, kind of get a feel for what's going on here. And with this coin, okay, so this is a bottoming and an accumulation pattern, and this isn't the pattern that I love to actually get in and start building positions when I see this pattern. So if that's what you're doing right now, in my opinion, you're doing a very wise thing. This pattern, like I said, over time will have a very, very nice breakup. So Illuvium's trading at $59 right now. A few weeks ago, it was in February, it was up to 107. So, a nice almost 50% retracement there. So to find targets on this, I like to pull a fib from swing high to swing low. See, we lost the 618, so we're struggling with that. We are finding support on the daily 200. So right now, and we've got to hold that daily 200. Chances are that we will. If we break below that, not a good sign. Are there signs that we are going to break below it? Possibly. We've got the 50 kind of crossing over that 100. Already lost the 21 and the 9 on the daily. It could happen. It could. If it does break, I'd be looking at 52.74 as a possible place to put in some orders. But we could easily come back to the 886 on this one, and that would be about 45.56. Definitely could happen. So we'll mark both of those areas. And with this rounding pattern, it's accumulation. So it's big money, smart money, pushing the price up and pushing the price down to accumulate and to build their bags. And that's the lesson that we need to learn from the whales and do the same thing. We can't really affect the pushing or manipulating the price, but we can definitely take advantage of when they do, when they play their little whale games, right? So it's very common with these rounded bottoms to see it come back and retest the boundaries of that parabolic, that rounded shape, this orange trend line I have. So very real possibility come back at a lower price to get that. Now it is making a falling wedge pattern. That's bullish, my favorite pattern to trade. So there is still the possibility, a very real possibility of finding support on the 200 moving average. That's what I would really love to see. And then getting a breakout. Now, if we do that, get that breakout, maybe we can, bullishly cross over these EMAs, straighten them out a little bit. But let's take a measured move from that. And just from candle bodies to candle bodies, let's just say we're going to break out here. That would take us up to about this area, about $88, $87, $88. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Now, let me take a little bit more accurate measured move going from the wick to the bottom of that channel. And my channel could actually be off a little bit. Candle body to candle body there. Got the number of touches I need. Okay, redo that. And a more extended measure move, and they basically take us back up to the top of the pattern there of about $97. Those are two targets I'm looking for Illuvium. But what I'm seeing, it could take it a little while to get there. It does have a little struggle to figure out what it's going to do. Need it to hold this 200 EMA where it's at, and currently that's coming in at $58. Don't want to see it close candles below this or open a candle below that. If we see that happen, that's your bearish sign that we're headed for some lower targets. But as long as our candle bodies are staying above that, we've got a chance to be drawn up into this red Ichimoku cloud and spit out on the other side. This may be us forming what we call a partial decline, where we come back, retest a solid area there, find support, and then go up. Very possible. There's some bullish situations that I can see that could play out here, and we could come up, make another head and shoulders and be headed to the upside. I would just be cautious of the possibility of coming down. It's just a few dollars. A great time to just build your bag if you're really serious about holding this for a while and making the real money when it starts going back up to its all-time highs, because this little baby got up quite a bit. Got up as high as almost $2,000. So $50, $60 to $2,000. Can you complain that much? And, is a possibility it could do that again. Even going half that way, even if we have another disappointing alt run for the bull market, because last bull market, I was disappointed. A lot of altcoins did not reach their all-time highs again. Usually what we've seen in the past, that we would reach that all-time high and then make a new all-time high. Didn't see that. Could get a replay on that this next time. Possible. So I'm keeping those in mind. So I'm trying to keep my overall targets, kind of conservative, and looking for a lot of these coins to reach at least half their all-time high. And so those are the first targets I'll look at for a lot of these coins. But for Illuvium, I think things are looking fairly good. Okay. So that's pretty much all the ones that I plan on just kind of doing some updates for my community. It's been asking and concerned about some things. If anyone has some requests, you can definitely just add that to the chat. Looks like I need to kind of work on my little chat thing. There we go. Can I take that off? Well, I do not know how to get that off of there. Okay, let me go ahead and just type this. All right, so if you've got a coin you'd like me to take a look at, please request it in the chat if you're here with me on the live stream. If you're not and you catch this broadcast, just write in the comments. Let me know what you're interested in, and I can definitely take a look at them on a live stream, or actually do a dedicated video to that. Right now, I'm going to jump back into the top 10, and I will keep my eye on the chat in case somebody pops in asking for a request. But right now, let's go ahead and let's move on to Ethereum to see what Ethereum is doing. It's been holding its weight very well. Definitely gained some ground. Still in a rising channel. And like I said on Bitcoin, if we get a breakout, a bullish breakout of this, we could be looking at some major upside for Ethereum. And, you know, that could help us also with altcoins. Ethereum should take off first, and then we'll see that kind of spill over to altcoins. However, off the bat, what I see as a possibility of happening here, and I don't want to front run this, we want to actually see these patterns confirm. They're no good if they're not confirmed. I mean, they can look like anything, right? Would that be it? That would be it. And we could be working on, let's get this straightened out here, could be working on making an inverted head and shoulders. A possibility. We're just kind of halfway there. Doesn't mean it's going to do this at all, but we could, if this does play out, you know, see a little bit of a pullback, probably down to about, you know, 14 to 1500. That would be cool. That would give you a chance to actually get back in, be retesting this 200 daily EMA, about 1474. And that would be a beautiful move. I'm not going to do a measure move on this yet, an official measure move, but excuse me. If this pattern does solidify and becomes valid, you could be looking up 2851 for Ethereum. That's in line with the Ichimoku cloud right off. It's in line with some previous support and resistance areas. And, you know, also coming up to this 100 EMA, about 2361. It looks promising. Ethereum, I think, looks good. On our indicators, we can see that we can have some more upside. So it's just looking mostly to see, what's going to happen with this bearish pattern that we're in? Are we going to break to the upside, which would be extremely, extremely bullish? Don't want to miss that. Or those are the scenarios I'm looking for Ethereum. And that's what we got to look for. But currently our moving averages are looking good. Getting ready to have 21 cross over the 50, so very possible. I'm starting to see some signs that we may get that big bearish or big bullish push to the upside. I'm not ruling that out, but it's just we can't tell yet. We got to give it just a little bit more time. So BNB overall just trying to whipsaw action, trading sideways. Been it's just been getting all kinds of FUDs on the market, but you know, it's a solid project, and CZ knows what he's doing in crypto. I like CZ. I like BNB. I have no problems with BNB. I would expect this to continue sideways for the most part. Broke to the downside of this bearish pattern, came back up and retested that. So it's likely we could see these lower areas, 270, 275, something like that. That's what I'm looking for out of BNB before we actually see some more upside up to 400. XRP. Get some of this mess cleaned off my screen so we can make some sense of it. And my charts are looking a little messy, so I'll clean them up where I can here. So there's two different ways to look at that. You can see these two orange lines making a channel we broke bullishly out of and heading into the cloud. That's basically how I read that. And we also had like a kind of a symmetrical triangle here, which also broke to the upside. So we've got breakouts. We're just looking at trying to get over this resistance area, 55 to 58 cents. I have a measure move of 63 cents. Hopefully we could do that, but we are also kind of setting ourselves up for, you know, again, like we see on the other coins, could be doing a head and shoulders, could come back down to, you know, 38 cents to complete that pattern if that's what it's doing. So keep that on the radar. I do expect some sideways action out of this. And the biggest thing I want to look at here, and we're on the weekly. Let's go to the daily here, get a little bit better information. Daily is looking more bullish than the weekly. Weekly's kind of suggesting sideways. Daily saying that, hey, we probably get a bump up, probably come up to this area, 58 cents, maybe trade sideways before maybe double top it and coming down a little bit. That's really what I'm seeing for XRP. But it does look like we may be getting ready for a move. It is possible to come back down and retest this area at 45 cents before doing that. However, you know, this 9-day moving average is holding very well. I want to see it hold above this 48.8 level at this 21-day moving average, and that could give us more upside there. Cardano, finally starting to do a little bit of something there. Had a bearish breakdown, came back down, retested that. Now this is a bearish move, okay? We came back up, retested it. Usually we will head back down. Daily is saying that it's got some legs. Maybe it could continue going up. Just looking at the Ichimoku cloud, what I usually see when we get a flash of a big thick cloud of green, a little thin thing of red, and then some more green, a lot of times you will see it dip back into these areas, maybe about 35, 36 cents on the red, and then continue upward. And that may be what we're seeing here. We did break out of a falling wedge pattern, so we're heading up, but it's got a lot of sideways movement, a lot of little obstacles to overcome here. And as you know, there's so many of these tokens out there that it does take a lot to move Cardano. Okay, so it's a slow mover overall. It always has been, and I think it will be for a while. I do see this on the MACD. Normally, this is a bearish pattern, but you're looking for the cross, the blue cross, the red. It's not doing that. It's wanting to turn up. So keep your eyes on that, because this could very easily just flip to the upside there. So we may see some inflow here on Cardano, some money coming into Cardano, looking for that possibility there. Dogecoin. Good old Dogecoin here. Let me just do a quick stream check here, make sure everything is going okay. Bear with me just a second. I just got to pull this up on my phone and make sure everything's coming out all right. And while I am doing that,
for those of you out there that have been hitting that like button, I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, things look like they're going well. Taking this was a surprise stream. I'm trying to do this pretty much the same time on Mondays, so we can, have a dependable stream that you guys can actually look forward to coming to, or at least catching on those days when it's repeated. Okay, so looking at Dogecoin on the daily, got a little bit of a retracement there. I do like the fact that stochastics are coming back down. MACD is doing that weird thing we just looked at on what was it, on Cardano. Possibility that it will level out there. Keeping our eyes on this. Mostly what I see is trading sideways with Dogecoin and finding support here on the 200 moving average. Now you can see that the 200 is over the 100 here. Need to see that 100 get over that 200. Okay, got to see that to feel a little more bullish. But it looks like we're coming down and testing this 8-cent area for support. A good chance that we will find support there and start moving up, back up to the 9.8 cents, back up to this 10-cent area. That's what I see for Doge. I do have a measured move for this wedge type pattern, triangle pattern, that would take us up to 15 cents, but it's not going to be a quick thing. But I do foresee us finding support here where we are, and possibly going up to at least 10.5 cents for Doge. And then Polygon MATIC, pretty much same situation, been trading sideways for a while. Finding support, did find support at the 100. We've lost that. Okay. And now our indicators are crossing bearishly over that. The moving average is crossing bearishly over that. So do look for 106 coming out of MATIC, maybe coming down as low to $1.99. Looking at this 200 EMA, if we lose the 100 and we're under the green, under the 9, under the 21, we're headed back to our 200. So that's what I am seeing actually for Doge, or for MATIC. It looks like sideways and possibly down for a little bit on MATIC, which, gives me an opportunity to look to maybe add some back to my MATIC bags there. Solana's moving average is starting to get tight here. And I bet if we pull up the Bollinger Bands here, it's probably tight. See that? Okay, so we're getting some low liquidity, getting squeezed here on price. Something's about to break on Cardano or Solana. Something's about to happen. And Ichimoku Cloud is not giving me much clarity on that, because it could go either way. So this is where I'm going to depend more on my moving averages. And let's see if we can turn the Bollinger Bands off. Bollinger Bands are great. You don't see me use them a lot on my streams or anything, just because they clutter up the screen, but I use them a lot on my phone, especially on my exchanges when I'm trading there. They will keep you out of trouble if you know how to use a Bollinger Band. And you're basically driving between the lines, okay? and knowing which side of the road is going on and which side and when it's going to go to the other side of the road. So with Solana, it's actually looking bearish to me. A good possibility that we do come down and maybe retest this trend line, maybe $18 somewhere through there. Our moving averages are lining up in order almost underneath the 200, and that's bearish. So 9-day, the green one, and the 21 moving average have just crossed below the 100. 50 is getting ready to cross below that. So I see us coming down $18, $19 area as possible. However, the 200's up here, right, on the daily. So we're not above it. It's not officially bullish yet. But the 100 is starting to move up to cross that now. Then when that happens, I think we will break out of the sideways action and then start still sideways, but going a little bit more toward the upside there. So that's what my moving averages are telling me at the moment. See, the stochastics are trying to turn to the upside. It's got some more room to come down to the downside. Money flow is still kind of, at a bottom area, trying to turn up. There's some signs here showing that we can get a push to the upside. Now, how far that will sustain, I don't see a lot of strength that would make us take off because of the way the moving averages are. You'd have to battle through all of these, and that's what we'd be looking at, sideways and slowly moving up to battle through those moving averages. So no huge moves that I can see coming from Solana in the immediate future, but if this is your coin, this is more like an accumulation zone. Moving into DOT, D-O-T. And on this one, remember, we broke out of a falling wedge, okay? Very bullish. Then we made a bearish megaphone pattern. We've seen this on a couple of coins right now. Broke to the downside, found support. Definitely hit our measure, move from there. Maybe you can come down a little bit lower. And retested this trend line. So that's bearish too. So we couldn't get back above that. Trading sideways. But now we've got a chance to start breaking back up a little bit, okay? So we played out a bearish scenario there. And now we just got to see what's on the cards now. So if we draw a trend line, and you can see we're kind of making more like an ascending triangle type pattern. And that could be what we need to push us back up to these higher levels, maybe $7. The biggest thing I would look at is our moving averages. And let me get rid of that trend line, and I can explain this real quick. 100 cost to 200 on the daily, bullish. Period. Bullish. Okay. Retesting the 100, finding support there, bullish. Okay. We've just reclaimed the 21. Hopefully we can hold that, and that would take us up to the 50, then hopefully up to the 9 and reclaim that. Things are trying to slowly round up, trying to go to the upside. So I do expect DOT to fight its way through this Ichimoku cloud, slowly coming up to about 650. And then hopefully we can look at these higher targets, 662, 686, and 708. Last coin I am going to look at today will be Litecoin, and that is in our top 10 list, and that's what I'm doing, the top 10 most traded cryptos. And Litecoin, just like we saw in that, it's not a rising megaphone pattern, but a rising channel. Came back down to our buy zone around $67, picked up some more Litecoin because I am a fan. I do have a miner, it's just not hooked up. I do see some possibilities for Litecoin in the future, especially for the fact that it would be considered a commodity and not a security that plays a lot and a limited supply on it. So I don't rule out Litecoin. It is an OG coin, but the reason we're coming at today is because it's in the top 10. On the daily, looks like we're getting poised for maybe a move out of Litecoin coming. Stochastics are rounding out. The biggest indicator would be this 100. We got the 50 crossing barely over the 100. That can give us a sideways action. However, we flipped the 21 in support, retesting the 9 right now at $91. And as I mentioned before, when we see this kind of thing with the Ichimoku, have the thick green that brings us into it, we bounce out of the red and then it turns green again. Yeah, we could come back down to these areas about 86, 85 cents. Possible, very possible. Green Ichimoku cloud suggests that, we will trade sideways here for a little bit, but we got some possibility to break to the upside. Biggest thing I want to see is for we're good on the daily on the 200. We've tested it. That's good. We should come and test the 100. Looks like we've done that. I foresee a possibility of trading sideways and then eventually moving up. This little hiccup here with the 50 crossing the 100. I'm going to slow us down a little bit, but the other indicators are pointing for the real possibility. We may be heading up. One thing I do want to warn you about that I am seeing here, and let's come down to a smaller time frame, possible head and shoulders pattern. Okay. You'd see it. You actually see it a little bit better on the daily here. So, you know, could shoulder, head, possibly could be making another shoulder. That could bring us down to the lower sides, you know, $82, $84. That's a very real possibility. That's probably what we will see play out over the next week or two. Come up and then have a little bit of retracement, and that does fall in with what our Ichimoku clouds are doing right there. But as far as a target that I'm looking for, I do have a 618 area at $98.54 for Litecoin. That would definitely be a nice area to take some short-term profits for Litecoin. All right, guys, you have been watching Crypto Insight, where we just go over the market, try to get you an update, let you know what's going on in crypto, what to expect for the week. I use the larger time frames because they trump all others. They let us know what's going on when some of the smaller ones are just noisy and confusing. And that's why my analysis kind of sticks. So you can come back to these live streams, you know, even days, probably even weeks, and still see valid ideas on these patterns that I've got here. Just showing you the probabilities and where we're possibly heading. And then you can follow these and chart them for yourself on lower time frames and work that into your trading strategies. But just to give you my opinion and what my analysis is telling me, overall look at the market, I do see a sideways a little bit, and it all depends on Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance as to how well these altcoins perform. If you found this helpful, make sure that you hit that like button, maybe comment and subscribe.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much.
My name is Lane, and you've been watching Crypto Insight. Thank you so much for joining me today.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I